Okay, Jai Jagannath, thanks for coming. Today is Mahashivaratri. Happy Shivaratri to everyone. Today I would like to talk about the importance of Shiva Mahadev in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, which is a subject that is not very well known, or at least there are some misconceptions circulating. As usual, if you have any questions, objections, or requests for elaborations, or any contribution to the discussion, please interrupt me. So, this thing that I have here on the screen is a document, a Word document with some quotes about the actual original tradition of Chaitanya. We know that Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, who is the originator of the Gaudiya Vaishnava movement, was actually very happy to visit all the Shiva temples, especially when he went from Navadvip to Puri. He stopped a lot of times, especially in the Lingaraj temple and other temples on the way. And especially there was one episode during this journey when he became annoyed with his traveling companions, so he left them behind and went quickly to a temple of Shiva on the way, and there he forgot about being angry and became ecstatic again. Krishna Chaitanya eagerly, happily accepted the prasad of Shiva from the temples, although some people think that a Vaishnava should not accept the prasad of Shiva. This is not a fact. I remember one person. One day I was after visiting a Shiva temple, I was sitting and taking some of the prasad from that temple, and this person, saw me and wanted to know what I was eating. He said, "Oh, this is Mahaprasad." Yeah, okay. Oh, nice. So he wanted some, and while he was eating, he was asking, "Whose prasad is it? From which temple is coming?" And I said, "Oh, it's coming from a Shiva temple," and he spat it out, which is like, okay, not good. Specifically, there is a list of 10 offenses described in Parama Karuna and often quoted by the followers of Chaitanya. So we have, the first one is Satam Nindanamna Paramam Aparadham Vitanute Yata Kyatam Yatam Katam Tu Sahate Tadvigarham. The greatest offense against the name of God is to defame or insult a good person, Satam, especially one who is explaining the glories of the holy name. So if we accept the idea that Shiva Mahadev is the greatest Vaishnava Namyata Shambhu, then logically any offense to Shiva Mahadev is the greatest offense against the name of God, against God. The second one is actually interesting because it's usually mistranslated. So the text, the original text is Shivasya Sri Vishnurya iha guna namadi sakalam, dhiya bhinnam pasyet, sakalo hari namahita kara. The actual meaning here is to separate bhinnam, the names, qualities, etc. of Shiva from those of Vishnu, considering Shiva to be a different and independent personality from Hari. So this means that Shiva is Hari. So the bad translation, the mistranslation goes to consider the names of the demigods, such as Shiva, Brahma, etc., to be on the same level of the name of Vishnu. This is a very bad translation, because here the original text say Dhiya Bhinnam Pasyet, thinking that they are different, they are separated. So this is the actual text of the offense. And even the offense number 3, Guru or Avagya, to disobey the instructions of the Guru. So we see that in the original, genuine Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, Shiva is the Jagat Guru. So, the Gautamiya Tantra, which is a perfectly, acceptable Vaishnava Agama from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, is saying, Gopalam pujayed yastu nindayed anya devatam astu tom parodharma purvadharma pinashyati. If one worships Gopal but disrespects other devas, devis, his bhakti will be lost. Not only he will not be able to get bhakti, but even whatever dharma he had acquired previously will be lost. Okay, so the Brihad Bhagavatamrita confirms the proper original text and translation of the verse of the Padma Purana that we quoted before about the 10 offenses to the chanting of the holy name. So what is the Brihad Bhagavatamrita saying? Krishna Chavasya Bhedeksha Mahadosha Kari Mata Ago Bhagavata Swasmin Kshamyate Na Shive Kritam. One who sees some difference between Krishna and Shiva is making a serious mistake. Krishna may excuse someone who commits aparadha against him, but he will never excuse one who commits aparadha against Shiva. Ooh. Okay, Krishna himself in Bhagavata Purana says, Hata konu mahatsvisha janturvai vikrita kilbishai kshamis yatkim uvishvese kritagaso jagadguru. When one commits offenses towards the Mahatmas, death awaits him. But if someone commits an offense to such a Mahajana and Jagadguru as you are, they will never get any good fortune. And Krishna is talking to Shiva. Again, the Bhagavata Purana says, Kastam Charchara Gurum, Nirvairam Saruta Vigraham, Atmaramam Katam Dveshti, Jagato Daivatam Mahat. How is it possible that one can be hostile to Shiva, who is the guru of all moving and non-moving beings? Shiva is a personification of peacefulness, free from all enmity, and always satisfied in himself. He is the greatest Lord of the universe. And again, talking about Shiva as the Jagat Guru, the Narada Purana says, Dikshaya Guru Murtistha, Sarvanugraha Shiva. In the process of Diksha, Shiva manifests in the form of the Diksha Guru to bless the disciple. And also Narada Purana adds, Om Namaste Natha Bhagavan Shivaya Guru Rupine, I offer my homage to Bhagavan Shiva, who manifests in the form of the Guru. The Hari Bhakti Vilas is the source of the famous quote, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Eva Param Brahman, Tasmat Sampujayet Sada. This verse I heard many people who claim to belong to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya describe this verse as bogus. So if the Hari Bhakta Vilas is bogus, I don't know what kind of shastras they're following. So the Hari Bhakti Vilasa is a famous text in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, amply quoted even by Bhaktivedanta Swami in his commentaries. In the Shivastakam prayers quoted by Murari Gupta in his Sri Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya, Chaitanya personally describes Shiva's position as Guru. Shivaya Sarva Gurave Namo Namaha. I repeatedly offer my obeisances to Lord Shiva, who is the Guru of everyone. So, we can remember that Murari Gupta is the actual first and most genuine biographer of Chaitanya, because he is one who actually knew Chaitanya. Krishnadasa Kaviraj, who is famous for his Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually never met Chaitanya because he lived several, at least 1 or 2 generations after Chaitanya disappeared. It's little bit like the Gospels, written by people who actually lived 200 years after Jesus Christ. Anyway, so Shiva also descends as avatar to re-establish Vedic knowledge and the principles of religion, as exemplified in the life of Adi Shankaracharya. Now we are going to discuss about this specifically. I still have to write the other volumes of the series of the life and teaching of Sri Chaitanya, and one of these sections was about the historical context of Krishna Chaitanya's missions. So, strictus rupanugas, we have to be careful to avoid committing offenses against Shiva, because that's not healthy. There are other quotes that we can find in the popular saying. I don't know exactly from which shastra, but there are several quotes repeating that Shiva is the heart of Vishnu and Vishnu is the heart of Shiva. In fact, they are the same person. There is no difference. The only difference is, like, the Brahma Samhita says, Brahma Samhita is another text that is very respected by Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because practically only by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because Krishna Chaitanya is said to have found it mysteriously in South India when nobody else in the rest of India ever heard about it. But anyway, the Brahma Samhita is saying that Shiva is to Vishnu like the yogurt, dahi is to milk. Shiva is Vishnu who gets in touch when Vishnu becomes engaged in the material Shakti, material energy, the apara prakriti, then he manifests as Shiva. So to make a very simple example, we could say that Shiva is Vishnu dressed to go to work. Vishnu doesn't work, doesn't have to work. Krishna in Gita says very clearly, I don't have any job. I don't need anything, I don't want anything, But still, Vishnu goes to work to care for the living entities, the bhutas, the jivatmas, who are his children. And when he goes to work, he's called Shiva. So, okay, this is a general overview. Another very interesting point is about Krishna Chaitanya's favorite kirtan song, which is which we learned many years ago, and it starts Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. So Hari Hara, we know that is the form, the composite form of Vishnu and Shiva, Harihara. In fact, the worship of Harihara is very popular, especially in eastern India, in Puri and in Bengal. This form of Harihara is also called Madhava. And we know that the Madhava deities are the most ancient forms of Vishnu in the great holy places. For example, we have Madhava at Prayag. We have in Puri, we have at least 2 temples of Madhava, one of which is in the Indradyumna Sarovara, and all these temples are quite low, below the usual level of the ground, because they're very ancient. It's a geological strata, so it means it's thousands and thousands of years ago. So this is interesting. Then another interesting point is the Hare Krishna mantra itself. So when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are told sometimes that Hare is evocative of Hara, means to Hara. Now, to say that Hara is a name of Radha is a bit of a stretch, because if you go to India, people go to India, they ask anyone, who is Hara? Nobody will answer that is Radharani. No one. Everybody immediately will say, oh, Hara is Shiva, Hara, Mahadev. So, why Bhaktivedanta Swami stretched the name Hara from Shiva to Radha? This is interesting. I believe that the first factor was that Bhaktivedanta Swami was preaching mostly to people who had this Christian background, Abrahamic background. Not only in the United States, but more or less everywhere. because even in India, you can confirm, lots of people have absorbed the Abrahamic mentality, either because they have gone to mission schools or Christian schools, or anyway because the entire mainstream academic system is still based on the Abrahamic bias that was carried on by colonialism. So going to the mainstream academic system, inevitably shapes the minds of people in that direction. For example, I got tired of telling Hindu activists that using the word idol to indicate vigrahas, murtis, and sacred images. If we want to use the English language, we can use sacred images, But idol is a very bad word, But still, practically everyone uses it. So, in the same way, when Bhakti Vinoda started the Gaudiya Math movement, he was very active in the colonial administration and very much in contact with the British-oriented education. He was not the only one, because in Calcutta there was the Brahma Samaj, and Ramakrishna even was very much oriented to Christianity, and Vivekananda, he was going around and saying that he was carrying the gospel with him everywhere, and The Imitation of Christ. Yeah, one book, The Imitation of Christ. Vivekananda put this book on the same level of Bhagavad Gita. Vivekananda declared that he would give his own blood to wash the feet of Jesus Christ. Okay, and we have Yogananda's photos with the crucifix on his neck. We have Yogananda, the Divine Light Mission, Self-Realization Fellowship, the Kriya Yoga. All these groups were very much oriented towards Christianity. It was natural, because Christianity was the ideology on which the colonization of the British Empire was going on. Officially, the British Empire was Christian. So it is understandable. So what happened, Bhaktivinoda, in his famous lecture on the Bhagavatam, he was putting all together Krishna Chaitanya and Jesus, Mohammed, everybody in the same boat, because he wanted to make people, Abrahamic people, happy. In this way, it was logical and natural for Bhaktivedanta Swami to write his books and to preach, to orient, to channel the Abrahamic mentality into the Bhagavad Gita, so that the people with Abrahamic mentalities could become devotees of Krishna, because the point was to make people become devotees of Krishna. So, talking about Krishna as the God, that was different, distinct, and supreme compared to the devas that came to be called demigods, which is also a incorrect, inappropriate term, because technically a demigod is a hybrid person born from the sexual encounter between a god with a small g and a human being. So if we really want to stretch, the meaning, we can say that the Pandavas were demigods, because they were the sons of Kunti and some of the devas, like Indra and Yama and everything. So Shiva is definitely not a demigod by any length. Anyway, still the idea was that Bhaktivedanta Swami needed to make this distinction, because otherwise his public would be confused. Because if you speak about God in the singular, the Abrahamic mentality tends to make a negative comparison with the other gods. So if yours is the God with the big G, all the other aspects, divine personalities, must be small gods with a small g, and even demigods. However, Bhaktivedanta Swami obviously had a very clear vision of the actual facts. This is why he was always talking about Vishnu or Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. He was not just saying Krishna is God and everybody else is not. He was saying that God has many personalities. And Krishna, he presented as the supreme personality of the Godhead. The word Godhead is a little strange for most people. In fact, when I was translating the books for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, I had a lot of clashes, fights with the manager, because they didn't understand the importance of the literal translation of this definition. Because I was translating God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they wanted to write God, the Supreme Person. Okay, it could look the same or similar, but it's not. Because when we say the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we recognize that the Godhead, is the Param Brahman, has many personalities, of which some are more important or more powerful. In the Bhakti Shastra, it is described as different colors, different parts, like the percentage, the percentage of divine qualities that are manifested by each particular personality. I think Rupa Goswami is explaining this in a very, mathematical way. But if we say God the Supreme Person, it means that God is one and all the other persons are not supreme. God is just a bigger person who is supreme because he's just more powerful, which is a problem. This is a typical Abrahamic perspective that brings sectarianism and religious intolerance, because we know that the Abrahamic God is ordering his followers to destroy all other gods and all the people who worship other gods. So, we need to understand who is our real enemy. Okay, until now everything is clear. Silence. Okay. Sleep. You close your microphone. Okay. Just listen. So, we can continue. Okay. We are getting some Shivaratri wishes on the phone. Okay, so I think this is basically the idea that I wanted to discuss. We remember Mahadev, we meditate on Mahadev on the day of Mahashivaratri, because this day, and especially the night, because Ratri means night, so the devotees fast whatever degree of fasting they can do, and stay awake as long as possible in the night, possibly the entire night. So this is also called Jagran. Of course, it depends on the circumstances and the possibilities of each person. It is not compulsory. If someone wants to stay up all night, that of course is a good thing. If possible, we can keep meditating and telling the Leela of Mahadev. So the purpose of the celebration of the Mahashivaratri is to remember Mahadev and participate to his to the meditation of Shiva, to support and to cooperate, to support Shiva's welfare work for the world, for the universe. So this is why we usually tell the story, remember the story, the episode in which Mahadev drank the hala hala poison, for which he's called Nilakanta, because his throat became black due to the poison. The story goes that when the Samudra Mantana was done, the churning of the ocean of milk by the Devas and the Asuras, to obtain the Amrita, the nectar of immortality, the first thing that came up were the impurities, the toxic, the pollution. So the black foam that came to the surface, and nobody wanted to take care of it. So everyone went to pray, to ask Mahadev to help, and Mahadev swallowed this poison, but he kept it in his throat. So that is why he's called Nilakanta. So thank you very much for participating to this meeting. I think we can stop here, and we will meet again. Everyone is invited. If you want to participate, we have the permanent Google link in the description of the video. And if you have any questions, you can write to me at the official public email address, which is Jagannatha Vallabha Vedic at gmail.com. Also, this is written in the description box of the video. And Jai Mahadev, Hara Hara Mahadev, Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath. I have one question.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So we know that this creation is eternal, right? Like Shiva and Shakti union. I think Shivratri is celebrated for that union, right? So this is eternal. How can we define a date for it? That okay, some tithi is there. How?
There is no date. But it is a celebration of the marriage, it's the officialization. It's not the beginning of the union. We have to stop thinking about God in material human terms. You know, when we talk about the marriage of Shiva, the marriage of Vishnu, you know, and Shiva having children, it's not like an ordinary human being. You know, Shiva Shakti are one from the beginning. You know, Parama Karuna is both Purusha and Prakriti at the same time. You cannot separate them. The marriage is the opportunity for ordinary human beings to develop devotion for God, for the deity. In this case, for Shiva. But it is also, the Mahashivaratri is also the celebration of the night when Shiva drank the poison, the poisonous toxic substance that came up from the churning of the ocean of milk. So it can be several things depending on what is your rasa, what is your approach to devotion, what is the form of your Ishadeva that you actually prefer. You know, this is the great quality of Hinduism. You know, that is personalized. It can be personalized according to the guna, karma, realization, and rasa, desire of each person. That doesn't mean that there is no actual, solid, objective, absolute reality. Unfortunately, many people who are superficial, who don't actually understand the reason of this freedom of thought, they come to believe and behave as if all opinions are equally valid. That's not a fact. That is different. It's not that because someone has an opinion that must be true. Still, these opinions must be checked with Guru Sadhu Shastra. If it is not confirmed by the Shastra, we have a problem. So the opinion is not good. So, for example, in this particular situation, we can meditate on on the Shivaratri, the Jagran, both as the marriage of Shiva with Sati, and the Shiva saving the world from the poison, which is also compatible, because the marriage is not between Shiva and Adishakti. The marriage that is celebrated is between Shiva and Parvati. Parvati is an avatar of Adishakti. It's not Adishakti herself. So as we know the story, when Sati, who is also an avatar of Shakti, she appeared as the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. So when Sati left her body, she took birth again as a daughter of the mountains, Himavati, Shailaputri. So in that life, in that avatar, in that Leela, since she, from childhood, she focused on the tapasya and sadhana with the purpose of getting Shiva, to marrying Shiva. And that was also connected with the other Leela in which Shiva had burned Kamadeva. Kamadeva had tried to go and disturb him when he was meditating, and Shiva had just looked at him and, turned him into ashes. So everybody was very, concerned, because without Kamadeva doing his job, the human society will soon stop procreating. So the Devas got together and they organized, and they were told that Kamadeva could come back to life, will be, regenerated when Shiva got married. So they prayed Adishakti. Adishakti appeared as Parvati. Parvati means the one of the mountain. Parvata. Parvata is a mountain. Parvati is the daughter of the mountain. So as Parvati, she did a lot of tapasya, a lot of sadhana, and finally, Shiva agreed to marry her. That is the marriage of Shiva. That is not the celebration of the original marriage of Shiva Shakti before the universe starts. That is an eternal thing. But the marriage of Shiva Parvati is a specific event, although cyclic, but still it's a specific event in the history of this universe. Is that answering your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think.
Okay. So, as I was saying, thank you very much for participating, and we'll meet again. Anyone can come to the meeting. We have a permanent link. How permanent it is? It's like the Amar Devas, because the Devas die one day. But okay. It's a Google Meet because we got this one our friends paid for the extension of the memory, so we can use Google Meet for an unlimited length of time and an unlimited number of participants. So, Jai, I'm very happy. And please, again, if you have anyone watching the video has any questions or suggestions or whatever, you please write to the email box. Jai Mahadev, Jai Jagannath. See you next time.
Jai Mahadev, Jai Jagannath.